Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the 2025 OS World Cup. We're back at the group stage for the first time in many years, getting things underway with our fifth match of the weekend. A European derby in Group C between France and Italy to kick off things here in Group C. I'm Doland, and I'll be joined by iFlame.
Can't wait for this matchup. This is going to be a Group C matchup, and I think this is one of the most interesting groups of the entire group stage. Let's take a look at these two teams. On the red team, we've got France, captained by Musty, the 15-year OWC veteran, has been playing since the second ever OWC. And just a lot of depth otherwise on this French roster with players like Hifkel, Lasta, and Fie. They also have three new additions to the team this year in Japwhite and Jordi Griep, who are their kind of go-to speed players for this year, as well as Satsuki, who's been a nice addition to the core roster for them.
Indeed, and a lot of storylines here between these two countries. Both countries that have kind of produced lackluster results over the past grand 5 to 10 years. For France, it's been, well, anything that could go wrong has gone wrong historically for them as a country. But could this be the year for Musty, the veteran, where the team finally gels together and everything that could go right does go right for this French team?
Yeah, we'll see how they can do in this group stage. Like you said, historically they've struggled in the earlier rounds. We'll see if their new additions can change that. On the other side, let's talk about Italy a little bit, because Italy, they've gone from not qualifying for OWC last year to seeding 23rd, largely thanks to the return of Kurochi, who's been playing incredibly well for them. They've got a really strong core of Meows, Kurochi, and Arj, who've really put this team back on the map, pretty much back to where they were in 2023 when they were an incredibly strong team. They have not too many new players. They've got Bellafigo, who is a nice addition to their core roster, as well as Nix, who didn't play qualifiers, as well as Mark VC, who's kind of just there for the reading. But we do have quite a few name changes on this team. We've got Tukai Teu, most people know him as Arj, as well as Kursuria, who most people know as Kurochi. So we should be getting into the pick bans shortly. In terms of pick bans, Italy have had a really tough time on the tapping as well as the rating in the qualifiers. I believe in qualifiers they were something like 34th overall on the tapping, 37th overall on the reading. So either that reading map or the DT2 tapping is an absolute must ban for Italy, as it looks like we're going to get a no mod 4 ban for France. This makes a lot of sense as well. Italy popped off on the qualifier no mod 4. They were 5th overall, and so a very smart ban coming through for France.
Yeah, it was kind of their best result by far on the qualifiers, that no mod 4 pick for Italy. So it was kind of a must ban as well there for France. You could definitely lean towards a no mod 1, but I mean, when they're getting top 5 overall, it's a pretty safe ban. And Hidden 2 is actually going to be an interesting ban, considering that Italy were not that great overall on Hidden. It was by far their weakest mod, 31st and 37th. And although France didn't have great Hidden scores, they were better than Italy's, but that just goes to show that they're not willing to gamble on these low approach rate Hidden picks this early on in the tournament. They want to get started with the right foot forward and not give up any points.
Yeah, now I am told that Nix, the missing player from Italy in qualifiers, is a reading and speed mechanics player, so hopefully that can bring Italy slightly closer with France, at least on some of these tapping focus picks. But I think even with the addition of Nix, France likely to be looking towards these tapping picks early on, but instead it's going to be Italy with the first pick, and we're going to get DT3. That is going to be your alt DT map, something that honestly both teams looked pretty good on in the qualifiers. France has quite the strong alt DT roster. I'm curious if we're going to see Kalong in for this map.
And do my eyes deceive me, iFlame, or is that Arj?
That is Arj and Kurochi. They've reverted their name changes since the qualifiers.
Thank you!
Thank you very much, Italy. We do just need to get them in the right slots, but that'll be fixed shortly. Let's talk about this.
I'm buying an Italian banner immediately after this match, regardless of the outcome.
They're such a fun team to watch. Arj and Croce are going to be the two kind of main carry players for this Italian team, 55th and 69th overall, respectively. And on the side of France, they kind of have their two main carries in Flasta and Hifkill, at least for the qualifiers. But the group stage, as we've seen already in this tournament, is not about those big performances, but it's about overall team consistency because these pools are so much easier.
Indeed, and you know, although seedings are a good kind of guideline, really in group stage, it's kind of hard to really use those as a hard set guide for really a picking strategy because it depends on how far apart the seeds were, and also we know this is going to be the easiest map pool that these players get in the entire tournament, especially when you compare it to the qualifiers map pool that determine the seedings. It's a much easier pool. And iFlame, you mentioned earlier at the start of the stream, let's talk about this group overall here, Group C here, in the Challengers category. This is a very stacked group. So you have 15th seeded France, 23rd seeded Italy. You also have 10th seeded Chile. And you have, I believe, 18th seeded Spain.
20th seed, but yeah.
20th seeded Spain.
It's such a fascinating group. I think most people would agree that Chile are the favorites to make it out of this group in first place. But it's a bit of a race in most people's minds for that second spot between France, Spain, and Italy, who France, despite being the highest seed, have historically struggled against lower seeded teams in the early rounds. So that spot could be up for grabs. Now, this is a vital match for both France and Italy. You only get one match against every other team in your group. So especially when you still have the top seed to play, you must get this win because one win is generally all you can afford in the group stage to still make it through. Here we go into our first map of France versus Italy, and it's going to be Italy's first pick.
And it's a very short one. Under 2 minutes in length here as Arj finds an opening miss. It's probably going to come down to accuracy though. Given how well these players performed on double time in the qualifiers, there's definitely a semi-comfortable skill set for both teams, so we might see both teams picking in this category. But it is going to be France with the better start here, as Belofigo finds a miss.
Yeah, 4FC is still strong for France, and as you mentioned, this was one of their best maps in the qualifiers, so a slightly surprising pick for Italy, and so far it's not been working out for them, but they still have 3/4 of the map remaining. We finally see France get their first miss as Suzuki finds drops. Now it's going to be 2 FCs to 3 in favor of France, but Arj is on a pretty good recovery, so this score lead should slowly be coming back over towards Italy with this combo from Belofigo as well being recovered, but it's dropping incredibly slowly. It's going to come down to that next set of misses. There are some more tricky patterns coming up shortly, and this halfway point of the map is the absolute worst place you can break. Absolutely tanks your score, and there are some really tricky patterns here.
This is high stakes right here. Look at all the combo on the board right now. I mean, the combo advantage is practically non-existent. They basically have level combos here, and nearly 3 FCs to 3. Oh, but that is a devastating double miss from Arj and Croce. It's immediately traded though, but Italy completely team wipes after. There's no one left but Musty and Satsuki.
That is the veteran presence you need. France well on their way to taking Italy's first pick as a break point off of a Musty FC. Musty's gotten through all the hardest patterns in the map, should hopefully be able to close this one out. And just better team scores all around from France. I mean, Italy was not too far behind, but in the end, 400,000 is a pretty substantial break point. And so Italy definitely going to have to change up their pick strategy. I think this one clearly a bit of a mispick. And now France has so many maps open left in the pool, of course. They haven't had a pick yet. They have a DT2, which is open. They could even look for, other tapping maps that are not necessarily as speedy, such as that Nomad 2, another map that Italy has struggled on in qualifiers. Now, the tapping does tend to be a little bit more comfortable in group states, so it should be slightly more manageable for Italy, but still relatively France favored.
Yeah, it was looking good until it wasn't for Italy. They were contesting that quite nicely, and then the double miss just comes out at essentially the halfway mark, which is a major score capping factor, and the lead was instantly over 300k before we could blink our eyes.
Yeah, now I could see France opting into that hidden one as well. It is an alt-focused hidden map, and Italy has just generally struggled on the hidden maps as a whole, skill set aside. So France feels like they should have a relatively easy time picking, and they are going to go for that DT2. It's going to be our 255 BPM speed stamina map. Pretty whole lot of dense bursts with some air control mixed in as well.
Both teams immediately going for double time here is quite interesting. I mean, we suspected that they both might go for it at some point in the match, but to immediately go in, you know, France definitely potentially smell blood in the water after that first pick, and going to gamble their first pick on a double time map. Now, it's a bit different though than the previous double time.
It is, for sure. Much different. And Italy, looks like they're not playing Nyx, so just maybe not super comfortable on this map, but they do have their kind of speed core, Meows, Arch, Vigo, and Duke. Nyx the only one missing. And France, they've been really solid on these speed maps, and they're going to just continue to pick tapping throughout this match. Worth remembering as well, if there are any ties in the group stage, it does come down to that point differential, so even if you don't find a win, it's really important to just put as many points on the board as possible for either team. You can win those potential tiebreakers if it comes down to it. You know, this is one of those groups where you hypothetically could end up with, you know, one team going 3-0, every other team going 1-2, and then all of a sudden those points matter a whole lot. Because Satsuki, and they're the new players for France, Jordy, Grief, and Jap White here specifically for their speed ability. Curious to see if the nerves get to them at all. That'll be something to watch out for as we wait for this GT2 to get started.
Yeah, it looks like everybody getting set. And as you said, point differential, the determining tie-breaking method, if they are tied on win-to-loss record. And that, again, so it doesn't come down to who won and lost the match between the two teams that are tied necessarily. It comes down to point differential, because it is a possibility to have three teams tied, as you mentioned, in multiple different ways. So every point does matter in this group stage.
Yep. Now this is about 30 BPM lower than the qualifiers DT2. Let's hope that BPM is slightly more manageable for Italy. But seeing as they were 37th, I don't know if the difference is going to be quite enough. But anything can happen in these group stages. The maps have to be played for a reason. And there are some really tricky patterns at the end of this map, so you really want to get that lead early on and hold on to it if you're able to. We want to keep an eye on the accuracies on maps like these as well. They're going to be pretty telling as to the comfort level of most of the players in this match. We already see some slightly lower accuracies on Vigo and Meows, and the question is, are those going to recover, or will we see them continue to drop further down as the stamina starts to wear on?
Yeah, just accuracy difference, but it's already a 50,000 point lead for France, so that is going to be a measurable amount of points here. But Flasta is going to find the first miss, and now combo advantage goes to Italy. But the accuracy is so low that you see it's taken a while for that score to flip, but now the miss from Satsuki will further the Italian advantage as Vigo trades.
Yeah, this is a lengthy map and incredibly dense as well, so there's a ton of combo to be gained, and that means that if we see more misses, one or two big combos can swing the score lead back so quickly. Arch finds the next miss for Italy, and that's going to even out these FCs, but Meows follows it up with yet another miss. Now it's 2 FCs to 1. France is going to take over the lead. They've got strong recovery combos as well on Satsuki and Flashte, and Italy, despite a good start, struggling a little bit at the halfway mark, and the map only gets harder from there. This is where the players are really going to start feeling the effects of this stamina. And there goes Duke. The last FC drops for Italy. And with that, Italy's chances on the map, they're not completely gone, but they're fighting an uphill battle here. Jap White and Jordy, those two new speed players for France, not showing any signs of nerves whatsoever. And clearly, France have made some good roster moves between this overdue PC and the last.
And barring an absolute French meltdown here in the last quarter of this map, it's all but over, as the advantage is now over 600,000 points. Insurmountable, as there's no FCs left, despite a solid recovery combo from Vigo.
Doherty does finally find the miss, but Jack White still holding that SC strong. There's going to be another incredibly dominant score from France, putting up over 3 million points, and they're going to be nearly a million ahead of Italy. And I have to say, this is just really good roster construction from France. You know, a lot of teams just have their FO players kind of play anything, but some teams, such as France in this case, will have their kind of core roster players, and they'll use their spare roster slots to fill out one specific skill set. And in this case, that's the speed, and already it's paying off for them in a big way.
Well, France able to successfully consolidate the advantage off the break point for a 2-0 score advantage. Italy now back to the drawing board, and in these best of 9 matches, you have to correct course immediately, or it can essentially be insurmountable before the match has even begun. You can't go down 3-0 and stare down the barrel of 4-0 at match point. It'd be quite hard to come back from, but the consistency of this French roster has been pretty amazing on those 2 double time picks. Now again, we have been playing exclusively double time to start this match. And yeah, I don't think Italy are going to pick DT1.
No, I don't think they're going to make the same mistake twice. Italy is a very good aim and mechanics team, though. I think they are going to tend to look towards some of these more aim-focused, as well as some of these more tech-heavy picks. Something like the Hard Rock 1 could be a really interesting pick for them. I also don't mind the Hard Rock 2 precision pick. We'll see if they feel like they have the muster for it, but Italy did have a really solid on precision. I think Hard Rock 1 is France has a really good Hard Rock roster themselves, so maybe you opt into that Nomad 1. But then there's the big question of nerves, of consistency. I think a lot of teams feel like in these earlier stages, Nomad 1 becomes a bit of a coin flip because it comes down to, well, who gets unlucky and finds the random miss in the middle of the map. And so Italy might very well stray away from that one. But it's got to be something mechanics. That has been Italy's strength for the past 2 years, and I think that's what they're going to need here. It is going to be Nomad 5, Letter to the Black World. And this is going to be precision indeed, but they go for the Nomad precision instead of the Hard Rock CS 7.4 snap precision.
And this makes sense. You know, I mean, this is the map that's closest to Nomad 4, you know, left in the pool, right? Would be inherently the Nomad 5. It's by no means the same thing, but it's a similar type of skill set, and you cannot go back into DT, and I would be wary of Hard Rock as well if I were Italy. So I like this Nomad 5 pick here to try to shake things up.
Yeah,
but
go ahead.
One thing I want to kind of bring up is Fremod wide open. And I think these are 2 teams that actually might be wary of going into Fremont just based off their hidden and Hard Rock scores. I mean, France, pretty solid on Hard Rock, but that's essentially it. Both teams are kind of wary on hidden, and Italy not the best on Hard Rock, but can hold their own. So you have to wonder when they're going to go for the free mod picks, if they're going to go for the free mod picks.
Yeah, they definitely feel risky. The free mod 1 could be an interesting pick for Italy later on, but there's not really any anti-mod in that free mod pool, right? You've got fast aim, you've got a stream map, and you've got kind of a more aim control tech-focused map. So it's a lot of aim control for sure. That stream map slightly aim control focused as well. So I don't think that's necessarily either of these teams go to, and it's possible we don't see any free mod picks throughout this match. We'll have to see as we wait for this map to get started. It is also interesting in that this Nomad pool has a lot more gimmicky maps, Nomad 3 being a reading map, and Nomad 5 being a precision map, and so that is why we don't have an anti-mod in the free mod category, as we do have Kalani coming in, the Hard Rock player for France, along with that core of Musty, Hifkill, and Satsuki, and we've got Ryuzaki in for Italy, who didn't play much in qualifiers, but should be a strong precision player along with their own 3-player core of Arj, Villafigo, and Kurochi. is a relatively short precision pick at just 2 minutes in length, so even these early misses matter. I think Hifkill has missed early enough that miss actually probably won't matter, but this is not a very dense map. There's not a lot of combo to be gained, so even if you're just 100 combo behind as Ryuzaki is, that combo will start to add up. Satsuki has now traded that miss back, and the further we go into the map, the more impactful the misses become. But we're already a quarter of the way through the map. It's a slight lead for Italy of about 15,000 points, and it's going to be 3 FCs to 2 3/4 of an FC, you could say.
If every miss matters and another one comes out from Ryuzaki, that might flip things over to France here. As we near the halfway mark, some nice combos still standing tall here. 3 FCs for France against essentially 3 for Italy. But Satsuki will trade.
Yes, these kind of maps for the nerds can really get to you. Precision maps are absolutely brutal on the nerds, especially these kind of aim-focused precision picks. And as we approach the 2/3 mark of the map, it's still Italy holding on to that 15,000 point lead. The score lead really hasn't budged. That's a really big miss from Belofigo. France trades it back immediately though, but the damage has been done. France takes the lead. Kurochi dropping as well. Now the pressure is on Arj, trying to fend off Kalani and Musty, but if they don't miss, France will take yet another breakpoint. Kalani does drop, but so does Arj.
It looks like it was one miss too many from Italy. Yeah. Just one too many. And there goes the score bar. An insurmountable lead now. Even though Kalangi falls, Musty does not. And he has no one to contend with him. Score 1 for Musty. He does it on his own, putting the lobby on his back, showing the world how it's done. Nearly 3 million points for France and a 3-0 lead.
Yeah, there's a very good reason why Musty is still playing OWC after 15 years. It's exactly for this reason. That is 2 Italy picks stolen and 2 Musty FCs to secure France the point. Now, Italy is down by 3 going into France's pick. They are in a lot of trouble, not only in terms of this match, but with France, assuming they can win their next pick, Italy is potentially not getting very many points in this match. That's going to put them in a really, really rough spot. And, despite having 2 matches left, they still have to play Chile, that top seed. And so, unless they can get a couple points on the board, their chances of getting out of groups not looking so hot. And France still feels like they have some pretty strong picks left open. If they want to go back to tapping, which would make a lot of sense, they could go for Nomad 2. It is Nomad 2. I was going to, suggest a couple other picks, but Nomad 2 it is. It's going to be your stream stamina map speed tech, 230 BPM. So, slightly slower than the DT2, but it's still relatively up there for a stream stamina map, relatively short as well. But there are a lot of dense bursts in this one as well.
Well, it's now officially an OWC iFlame. We've had a Musty moment.
Yes, we have Jap White, Jordy Greep. These 2 rookies for France absolutely popped off on the previous tapping pick. Let's see if they can do it again. As France are going to make some last-minute roster swaps. Probably won't see Musty in for this one. Not much of a speed player. We're going to get Satsuki instead. And we're just waiting for the last player in Italy. Curious if that ends up being Nyx, kind of their speed player that didn't show up for quals. Or if we are going to see a Duke coming back in. Oh, Duke's already in the lobby. It tends to be Meows then, or Meows or Nyx.
We will have to see. A good time to remind you all that we have banners on sale for all the countries that have qualified. You can get them in the OS store. It goes to support the teams and the game and looks pretty cool on your profile. And it is going to be Meows, as you suggested, iFlame, filling out the last spot on this Italian roster for this very important Nomad 2 pick, as Italy now down 3-0 in this best of 9. If they lose this pick, iFlame, they will only have 1 guaranteed pick left to turn things around.
Now, counterpoint, Dolan. Italy could, this is lower SR than the qualifiers pool. Italy could pull out some crazy scores on Nomad too if they have a pretty big overperformance. They get the breakpoint right back and get some momentum back in their favor, and they storm back into this match. This one, although it's looking rough for Italy, they're not out of it yet. I'm sure the players have not given up. They're still going to give this one their all, and hope is not lost entirely for Italy as we get into this Nomad 2. Another very short map, a lot of potential for accuracy drops, chain misses. It's going to be a Jordy Griep finding the first miss of the match, but honestly early enough that it shouldn't make too much difference. Really strong accuracies for France, and Italy not too far behind. This one is going to be pretty much dead even.
Italy now taking control with the combo advantage, but it is France with the accuracy advantage by far, so they're going to keep things really close. And oh my goodness, the miss does come out from Meowls, and Duke traded by Jordy Griep once again. But that is advantage for France, and even more now that Ryuzaki follows it up. Only one FC remaining on the board for Italy, and things are already looking dangerous.
Yeah, into the slider tech section now. There's a bit of a different look compared to the rest of the map, which is a whole lot more bursty, but there are some tricky burst mix in, and it looks like everybody is going to survive. And unfortunately for Italy, surviving this section is not enough. We need to see misses from France, and we need to see everybody recovering. There are strong recoveries from Duke and Ryuzaki. There goes Jack White. That's another FC gone from France. Now it is 2 FCs to 1, but Italy have some strong recoveries. They need one more miss from France at the very minimum, and they're going to need it really, really soon.
Yeah, absolutely. I couldn't agree any more with you, iFlame. They still need either Flasta or Satsuki to drop here relatively shortly. A miss from Jordy Griep would be nice, but there it is! Oh my goodness! Satsuki on the slider!
Ryuzaki finds the miss, but they are still holding their FC. I think Italy needs a little bit more. We need to see one more miss from Jordy. There it is, Dolan. There is hope for Italy. They can bring this one back, but they need to hold on to their combos, and even then, it's going to be close. Italy going into this break.
Hold, and Flasta may have just seen that during the break.
Yeah, Flasta going to be feeling the nerves now, but the entirety of Italy, they're going to be feeling the pressure. They must get a point on the board.
Oh no!
Double miss for Italy. They were so close, but it falls apart in the ending. Flasta holds, and France, they're going to be on match point. This was Italy's best chance at a break point so far.
And France are going to clutch up here at the last second when needed to avert disaster and come out with a 106k victory and take a 4-0 lead. It was looking good for Italy. Arj with a beautiful score, 995k, the MVP in the lobby, but was matched by Flasta. And unfortunately for Italy, Flasta finds that full combo. Would have presented a chance there for Italy had the miss come out near the end.
Yeah, now Italy do have at least one more pick in this match. If they can find a couple breakpoints, they will have more picks, but they've yet to win one of their own picks. It's kind of just been the Musty show so far. And so for Italy, I think it's time to find a pick that Musty won't be quite as comfortable on, or at least have somebody that can match Musty with an FC or a relatively close score. But we are really still looking at mechanics. It might very well be time for Nomad 1, even if it is a bit of a coin flip map. That might just be what Italy needs at this point in this matchup. They could also be looking at some of those free mod picks. I think the free mod 1 would be the big one for Italy, being kind of the only other super heavy tech map in the pool, but it is more of an aim control focused tech map as opposed to the slider tech that Italy really, really excels on. So that might give them a bit of pause. They are going to go for Hard Rock 1, as we're going to be playing Hard Rock aim consistency. There is a slight tech focus as well with some tricky slider patterns, but I think this is a really strong pick for Italy and probably their best chance at this point of getting a point on the board here.
Well, the problem is for Italy, there were never really many easy picks in this pool for them. It was one of those matchups where, despite the fact that they're not that far apart in terms of the seeding, it's just the skill set overlaps that really put Italy on the back foot. When your opponent is slightly better than what you're at on your strengths, and their weaknesses, they're better at your weaknesses than you are, you really don't have many safe picks And unfortunately, Italy have done their best. I mean, their best chance came against on France's own pick there on that Nomad 2. So it really is tough for Italy as they try to navigate this pool. So the Hard Rock one, they may just be comfortable on it. It might just be the map in the pool left where they're like, you know what? We got 4 people that want to play this, that don't care. And like you said, iFlame, every point matters, so they have to try and do something, but it will bring Musty back into the lobby.
Yeah, and to your point, Dolan, what makes this French team so difficult to pick into is that they're so incredibly consistent on just about every skill set. Of course, they have some slightly stronger and weaker skill sets, but overall, their placements were very consistent in qualifiers. They didn't really have many maps they popped off on, but they also didn't really struggle on any particular map. I mean, you look at their Nomad qualifiers, they were 13th, 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 and 14th. A beacon of consistency on those Nomad qualifiers. And I think that can be difficult when you're playing against higher seeded teams, but when you're playing against lower seeded teams, it's a lot harder for them to find, pinpoint those areas of weakness and kind of take advantage. And it can lead to exactly this, where you're kind of picking, of course, based off your own strength, but you do have players like Musty who, even if you pick a map that France should be on paper slightly weaker on, they still have players that are very capable of putting up some very strong scores on this map. Kurochi, Arch, Meows, Duke, the lineup for potentially the last map of this match. They would love to get at least 1 point on the board. Of course, they would love to get 4 and 5 points on the board if they can, but let's start with 1 for now as we get into Alien Friend Request Hard Rock 1. France do have some very strong Hard Rock players. They've got Kalangi is mostly there as a dedicated Hard Rock player along with their Core 3 roster.
I just got one question for you, iFlame. Who's running that generator down the street? I can hear it. Who's turning it up?
That is a good question. Is it on my mic, or what's going on here?
I don't know. I don't think it's you. Your circle's not glowing, but somebody's turning up that generator here on this Hard Rock pick. And for Italy, they got to turn up right now because, again, it's now or never here. Meows with the first miss. We'll see if they can pull off a reverse sweep. That would be pretty impressive.
That would be. I don't know how many. Maybe somebody can find shots. I don't know if Shadows has this stat. It would be a crazy stat. But how many reverse sweeps have there been in OWC history? I would guess not many.
That would be an amazing stat.
If any. It would be. Shadows is the GOAT, so we'll see. But it's going to be a couple misses in the meantime. Kalangi has found a miss. VA found a miss right at the start, as well as Meows with early miss, and Duke, the most recent player to find a miss. So as the dust settles, it's going to be 2 FCs to 2. The score lead may be pretty even.
This script has flipped here. Now it's all of a sudden Italy with the better accuracy and France with the combo advantage.
Meows does drop that recovery combo though, so VA trades it back pretty much immediately. So these two teams giving us their best effort to keep this one as close as possible. But we get into the next PI now, and it's going to have to keep an eye on these FCs. We currently got a bit of a 2v2 going on, but if the FCs hold, it's going to come down to the supporting combo, and right now that's even as well, so pretty much this matters.
Very high-stakes situation, 26,000 point advantage for France, as we are now in the halfway section, where the score capping is its most brutal, and everyone holds through that technical section, except for Meows.
But this time, VA doesn't trade, and so that's a 100 combo advantage for France now, into a really easy section of the map. So this is just going to be free combo advantage for France, and they're going to get a really good chance to build up this score lead. But we have the toughest section of the map still yet to come. It's relatively consistent, but there is some tricky slider aim coming up right towards the end of this map, and all it takes is one of those FCs from France to fall, and Italy could storm their way right back into this one. Now VA finds the trade, but the damage has been done for France. They've built up a 180,000 point lead, and now Italy needs one of those FCs to miss.
Yeah, they need one of these combos to fall, and Musty does, but they're going to need some more help. They don't have a lot of time, and that's 200,000 points to flip. They're going to need to see a miss out of Hipkill, Kalangi, ideally both, as Meows keeps trading here. Kurochi and Duke doing their best, but it doesn't look like it's going to be enough, iFlame.
Unfortunately not, despite a good effort from Italy. They definitely put up some good scores. It is going to be France not showing any mercy, and it is going to be a clean sweep for them. It looks like Hifkill going to be closing out the FC this time for France as Kurchi finds a miss right at the end. In France, putting up an incredibly strong showing for their first match in Group C. And, even if they drop a match against Spain, they have a really good point differential now, which is going to be huge for them if there are any tiebreakers. And guess what, Doland? Our very next match are going to be the other two teams in this group, Spain and Chile. That's going to be in about an hour and a half. 19 UTC, I believe. And so we'll get a pretty direct comparison and hope be able to compare some of those scores. So huge congratulations to France, who have had about as strong of a start as you can ask for in the group stage.
Yeah, what a performance, honestly. The team consistency on point from France, and a deserved 5-0, but for Italy, that's very frustrating. And now, for Italy, it doesn't really matter about point differential. I mean, when you get handed a 5-0 loss now, as your first match in the group stage, you essentially just have to win the other two matches no matter what the point differential is, because that's the only way you're likely to advance out of the groups. But again, no teams in Group C will be eliminated from the tournament because they are in the Challenger category, that's groups A, B, C, and D. The only groups that have to worry about elimination are the contender groups E, F, G, and H.
Exactly. So top two in this group will get placed into the winners bracket, whereas the bottom two will just get placed into the losers bracket. So no matter what, both of these teams will at least get a shot at the bracket stage. But that is going to do it for us, Doland. I thank you for commentating with me. One more reminder to go show some support for your favorite team. Get those banners in the Osu shop and join us again at 19 UTC for Chile versus Spain. Thank you guys all for watching, and we'll see you soon.